Hey guys. So I figured I would make a video today talking about something that kind of came to my attention when I was driving home from an appointment just earlier today. And first things first, I guess I'll just backpedal a little bit here. Yes, I am still in a cast. For those of you who might be wondering, this comes off in a couple of weeks, and I cannot wait. Anyway, and also, yes, I did get my hair cut. So I was driving home from an appointment earlier today, and in the appointment, it was a therapy appointment. The topic of the connection of mental health to my spiritual practice came up, and I realized that this is something that is such a huge part of my life, and it's something that I felt I really kind of needed to bring more to this channel. So without getting too personal, I think I will just share my experiences with how interconnected the two are and what difference it makes on my mental health. And firstly, I came to paganism when I was a teenager, and I was looking to try and find answers to make sense of my life. And some of the things I was experiencing, things that I wouldn't fully understand, were actually intuitive abilities until I came to my late 30s. Or not late, I'm not even in my late 30s. What are we talking about? Early 30s. I'm thinking late 20s. I'm only 33, guys. Not there yet. Anyway. So it was also me just trying to make sense of my past and some of the things I was feeling and experiencing as an adolescent, and trying to make sense of my depression and what I would discover later is also anxiety, and turning to a spiritual path, exploring a spiritual path, doing all of the reading helped me make sense of everything that I was thinking and experiencing. And in a way, finding my path to paganism saved my life, actually, in many ways. So it was then on that I linked the two, and I realized as I got older that as I would go through cycles of lessons that I maybe had to learn in life, for instance, learning to let go of things, learning to heal from things, it was all linked to my spiritual self and my mental self. They were two sides of one coin. So when I would experience something mentally that I needed to process through or let go of, my spiritual practice would kind of follow suit with that same theme. And this often manifested in the way of how deities would present to me, or the things that I would be pulled to work with in my spiritual practice, not just in the sense of like personified deity, but all of a sudden I would be drawn to like protection magic or healing work or things like that, or self-empowerment. And it was all things that I happened to need to focus on within that time to try and heal from whatever it was that I was going through. The other thing that I want to talk about with how your spiritual practice is connected to your mental health is, this is something that I actually kind of discovered today in my session, that my ability to do creative visualization has become exceedingly helpful for my mental health, to create a place that is important to find find a calm place to journey to mentally whenever I'm feeling stressed out or anxious or dealing with generalized anxiety disorder or depression, which are the two things that I suffer from. Having that space, that visualization of a place that makes you feel calm is so important, and having to be well practiced in creative visualization is something that will help you tremendously on your journey with mental health, because these are things that you will discover if you seek therapy, if you go through those avenues to assist your mental health. Even if therapy's not for you, creative visualization is something that can be exceedingly helpful, especially when it comes to developing a meditation practice, which admittedly is still something I'm working on. But having the ability to have the creative visualization blah, and having that background in it is giving you an upper hand for being able to process your more jarring emotions. The other thing that is also really helpful is having an emotional awareness, and this is something that is brought about throughout our spiritual practice. Most of our spiritual practice is tied to our self-development, and because it is for us and no one else, and it is for us to make sense of life. It's for us to see life the way that we need to see it, to go through the motions of life, because life isn't easy, life is difficult, and there are many times that we need something that helps us explain why life is so difficult, and that works differently for everybody. Even 10 different pagans will tell you 10 different answers for how that works for them. But having an emotional awareness is something that is pretty much brought about in your spiritual practice. You're basically faced with a lot of nasty emotions through, say, shadow work, or even if you're doing a meditation and you meet with a personified deity. Often in my experiences, my personified deity will tell me that, you have to face some of this, or you're on the right path, or, so there's that type of encouraging element too. The same can be said with divination, and in my experience, out of anything, even more so than personified deity, the one thing that will slap me in the face and tell me that I need to get my shit together is my tarot cards, for sure. And tarot cards, actually, my journey with tarot, I was brought to it because I needed direction in my life. I bought my first tarot deck because I went through a breakup with my high school sweetheart, my first love, basically, and I was a newly legal adult, and I didn't know what I wanted or where to go, or I had just moved back home from moving in with him, and I just needed direction. And so I looked to tarot as a compass, and I reached for it and bought my first deck, hoping that it would provide me with direction. And I have looked at tarot like that ever since. To me, tarot can be predictive, but mostly it's a platform for me to come to clear my headspace, to give me guidance. It's basically a therapy session to me, and I've always gone to tarot for that. Most of the time I lay down cards when I have something in my head that I just cannot figure out. Another thing that I would greatly encourage, and this is something that you can do in conjunction with your spiritual practice or just on your own for your mental health, is journaling. I'm a very, very big journaler. It's how I get everything out of here and on paper. It is so cathartic, and you don't need all of that up here. There's something even in the mundane sense that Jessie Huttenberg had once said when she did her planning video. I don't think she really makes videos anymore, unfortunately, but she did a planning video about a year ago, and she was talking about how even just having a paper planner and getting all the mundane stuff out of here and on paper, because it doesn't need to be up here, is so helpful for those who suffer with anxiety. And I started to practice that after I saw that video, and I was just, holy crap, blown away. I don't need to keep all of my appointments, everything that we need to remember, all up in here, because guys, I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 young kids. It's really hard to remember all that stuff sometimes. And I'm sure there are many people who can relate to that situation, if not many others, similar situations like it. So there is a lot of power behind journaling and putting a pen to paper as well. I keep journals for lots of different things. The one thing that I will really recommend is get yourself a journal to throw all of your spiritual stuff in. Get one that is a brain dump, a spiritual brain dump. It doesn't have to be pretty like your Book of Shadows, if that's what you want your Book of Shadows to be. My Book of Shadows is an art project. My Book of Mirrors, which is what I'm referring to, is my brain dump, my spiritual brain dump. It doesn't have to look pretty. It's just scribbles of dreams, tarot readings, spiritual thoughts, everything. I put synchronicities in there, I put psychic experiences in there if I have some sort of psychic experience so I can refer back to it. It's just so important to have a place for all of that to go, and mentally it helps tremendously. The other thing that I recommend is start committing to a spiritual practice on the regular. This is so hard to do, and it's something that I am struggling with so much. And this is a video that I think I will probably leave for another time, going deeper into the ideas for daily practices and what has worked for me and the things that I've experienced as I've explored that. But really try to commit to a daily practice, because it will help you so much mentally and so much spiritually to have that time where you can be in the liminal space, be in the sacred space, and feel sacred and empowered. It's so deeply important. And you'll find that a lot of the things that are, I'm trying to figure out how I want to describe this, a lot of things that keep you wound up in the mundane kind of start to unravel when you're in sacred space. You ease the tension, and it really helps. The other thing I want to say is that this is all my personal experiences, and much with a lot of things I bring to this channel, I'm sharing my personal experiences and what works for me. But I hope that this video was helpful for you guys too. It just was something that I had really started to think about a lot and was sort of inspired by my session today. And I wanted to bring it to this channel and share what I've learned and what I've been thinking about, and how your spiritual practice is connected to your mental health. And at least in the case of mine, it's huge. They're basically interwoven at this point, and it has done a lot for me. And I can't even begin to stress the a lot. It really has shaped me for the better. So I hope that I've inspired you guys to think about this sort of stuff. And please leave a comment down below if you want me to do additional videos on this topic for specific subjects or anything like that. I'd love to bring more of this sort of content to my channel. And I'm really hoping to expand through you guys and maybe have us inspire each other. So with that being said, thank you for watching, guys, and blessed be.